Hi, this is Eric Randolph, Bellevue University, ISIS program, International Security and Intelligence Studies program. I'm going to give a presentation on a subject that has become very important within the Middle East and is popping up in other areas as well. It's a problem not only for our national security, but for other nations' national security. And now this issue has also started taking a foothold within governmental settings. And in an area where government is already having issues controlling the population and having issues of larger attacks and rocket launches and all sorts of issues, military-grade issues that can't even be handled by local militias. Now, I named this Middle Eastern Normality. And the normality that I want to discuss is the use of non-state actors. And I say it's normality because there is no single nation within the Middle East that doesn't have some tie to some sort of non-state actor, in a sense that the close ties within the Middle East and their religious circle has not only led them to outreach to non-governmental societies and other brotherhoods for combat issues and issues of national security in their area, has now become a problem and spilled over, obviously, into issues which we have experienced within 9/11, Taliban, Al-Qaeda, and also past issues like the Mujahideen, fighting Russian troops within the past 20 years. And these issues have come back full bore, and now we face this normality of the region. Now, let me get into the normality. I'll start with one of the bigger problems we're facing currently, and with our allies. We have Iran has birthed, obviously, Hezbollah, Party of God. Now, this has been an issue and has been a big party issue because of their violence, not only with problems that have taken Iran, the original Iraq-Iran war, that's when they kind of came about. Now, they have moved into governmental settings. The problems right now with Syria and Jordan and those nations, and also not only the Syrian nations, but Libya. They have slowly actually moved in. As in Syria, they have actually become a political party within those nations, and now they're getting legitimate power, whereas before they were getting a power of they were being paid by governments to disrupt regions and various activities that a government would have to go to war for. Now, these non-government actors have taken the place of that, and they are causing the issues, and they are causing the violence within that. And where that's become a problem now is Syria and Jordan, and that place of instability has become even more of an issue with them taking ground. And this originally was created, obviously, it's very well known, but the issues in Iran with them being Shia Muslims and their surrounding states being Sunni Muslims has taken its toll with the fighting between them. But now that they have a new Western target and other issues, they have since then grown and become more destabilizing, more diverse, and have other issues. Now, we'll move south a little bit, and we'll talk about Israel. Israel being one of our keys to the Middle East, along with Saudi Arabia, but Israel being a non-Muslim nation. Now, this nation has been under attack and has been fighting within the Gaza Strip and the Palestinians for a very long time. Just yesterday there was 3 civilians killed by rocket attacks, and thousands of rockets have literally been launched into Israel from the Gaza Strip and from Palestinian sources. Now, this normality, I go back to, we see Hamas. We have an organization that is supported not only by government to disrupt the Gaza Strip and their enemies in Israel. They have moved forward now, and this normality is becoming widespread. And there is, like I said, there is multiple nations now that take use of this. Now, Palestine now uses this party, taking no responsibility and having no issues guiding them, but they take no responsibility of it. So the international circuit has nothing they can really do. The international circuit can shrug their shoulders and go, it's from you, but they can deny it all they want. And then this creates further issues down the road of simply accountability. There's no accountability of who is doing this. We have Muslim, as far as we know, actors blowing up what is largely a Jewish population, and with little or no reason. Obviously, the issue is, the Gaza Strip and borderlands between the Jewish and Muslim people, and this has become a problem, and it expands every day. Now, why do we discuss this? We discuss this because it is the sheer nature of the area, and we have to understand that not only are these non-state actors threats, but they are linked to nations, and they are linked to other parties. And the issue in there lies that there is someone responsible for it ultimately, not just these parties. They don't just act on their own. There is someone guiding them. Hezbollah being created by an Iranian government who needed change. Taliban coming from farmers from Afghanistan wanting change. Al-Qaeda, a little bit different in the background and how they're created, but still ultimately all funded and all, very much fueled by national issues and even at times national security issues, for these nations over there. And while this is important, it's not only important to know that, like in the case of Afghanistan, we had not only people having an unstable government to live under, and their government even allowing these other actors to come in. This normality became a security issue because it did protect some people. But ultimately, funding comes from another source, and funding has come from governmental sources, and that needs to be addressed. Now, their transformation, they're being transformed too. We have Hezbollah is a very good example because it had started as a terrorist organization and very much a tool to be wielded by the Iranian government. Now they have moved into governmental Syria, and they have actually moved into the legislatures and different decision-making groups, and this becomes a transformational problem, but at the same time, it might not. This transitional period might be it might be a blessing in disguise. We have a lot of issues, we have a lot of casualties, but this normality of non-state actors is not going to go away. And what we see is this now transformation of to political scheme and political parties. They've moved from terroristic. Now they've taken legitimate power to own and control assets of governmental institutions. Now, not to say this is bad or good, but this is a transformation that's going to slow them down. Definitely, this normality again will continue, but hopefully the violence will quell slowly. Now, this continuation of the norm, there's the volume of groups within this area is huge, and that's again why it's normality. You have the Brotherhood, there's Islamic Brotherhood, you have Hezbollah, you have Taliban, Al-Qaeda, you have all these institutions that work against Westerners, and have their different goals too. I mean, you have exceptions like Pakistan has a group that they support that creates instability between them and India. And this group wants to destabilize the Kashmir region because they want it for their country. Now, most of these regions have a goal in mind, and this goal is very much they've created tools outside of the government system to not go to war with other countries. And slowly we are seeing them split off, not only creating their own legitimate power, but also have their own goals and issues within the institutions, no longer listening to the governmental powers. And this creates a bigger problem too, because we have almost a rogue-like setting. We already have rogue states, and we already have issues of non-state actors coming in. So now not only are these rogue states supporting these groups are having their own initiatives, no longer listening to their originators. Hezbollah has moved far away from Iran at this point. They still do take some orders, but they have taken other countries now, and they are taking other goals and different orders, and they have their own institutions now. And moving into Syria, they control most of the Syrian legislature. So this continues to be a normality, and with non-state actors, and even with these rogue states that we talk about, they're continuing to grow, and they're continuing now with their own initiatives, and it is going to be a norm now with these states. So it continues to be a problem. Now, how can we solve this problem? Now, that's a bigger issue that could have been solved, but it hasn't, because we don't know how. We can only continue our operations and cease to be. Until the funding is cut from these operations, there is no real future to shutting them down. They're going to continue to keep getting funds. So until we can stop their funding flow, which we work to every day, CIA, FBI, are consistently working towards, their funding has to be cut. They have no money, they can't do anything out of the ordinary. Now on top of that, arms control. We have people getting rocket launchers that should not have rocket launchers. They have they have dish guns, Russian dish guns, fully automatic machine guns that can blow away a vehicle. You know, the Russian, Chinese, Iran, and various others that supply weapons and advanced technologies, people, they really need to be addressed. And those we can do with legitimate power. And those we can do with the various tariffs and hopefully pressure we can put on those countries. But obviously the United States, being in the situation it is, has been in war for 10 years plus. You know, we kind of have issues with that. But we have to cut off their funding and their supply routes. And all we can do really is to continue operations against them with our law enforcement and, you know, counteracting these drug trades and these shutting down the rogue states that are supplying them and the rogue states that are continuing to house them. We need to make it unreasonable to even cater to these people. But well, I sum up the normality with, it's a growing problem, it's going to continue being a problem, and until we can completely solve the funding, make it not only illegal but unreasonable to create these groups, is the only way we're going to continue solving the problem. But that is the normality of the region. That is something that's going to continue until we can address it, until the local governments can also make moves to shut it down. Thank you.